people are able to see from wherever they are the works that other people are doing and get inspired to do some of these things. Now, your books, you say that you've been writing a lot. In the newspapers, you write about social issues and such, but what about your books? What sort of reading do people expect from your books?
Okay, one person actually told me I'm a feminist. Because she had time to go through all my works. She was one of my close friends, and she said I'm a feminist because whatever I write, I always infuse in this aspect of womanhood, of women redefining a certain part of themselves, to own themselves more, to be who they are, to have a certain value. I have a certain sense of value and greatness and amazing, of not seeking validation and other things. So and then the other day I was just going through my books. I was like, okay, how is that there's always a female character who always stands out, who always become this like the hero or the main character and stuff like that. The rest are just supporting characters. I always focus on women, and I feel it's really amazing. It's really amazing
that you've written that about women. Is it because of the influence that your mother had? I don't hear your father in the picture in there.
You just reminded me. Yeah. So my mother was actually my good friend. I think I really enjoyed being close to her, because when my father died, I was only 9 years old. And then I grew up so attached to my mother because I saw the struggles she was going through, financial problems and this and that, and challenges raising boys. Because my older sister had left and was staying with I think I was the oldest at that time. So she used to bring in maids, and then I'll tell her not to bring maids because I was going to help look after my siblings. And our last born is a girl. So my dad left her, actually she was about 3 months old. So I was like, I told mom, like, no, there's no need to bring a maid in the house. I'll look after my siblings. And I really tried. She taught me how to plait hair. She taught me how to do a lot of things. Sometimes I remember my neighbor used to laugh at me to say that I'm going to grow breasts because I was so close to my mother. Because there are times whereby she taught me how to scrub dandruff, to plait as well. So the times whereby she doesn't have money to go to the salon, she'd be like, oh, come and do my hair. So I went and do it. I'll scrub dandruff, I'll wash it when it's dry, and then I'll plait her hair. And it was like that. I think my mother actually really greatly formed the kind of a person I am. Like, I really respect women because of her. And it's really amazing.
So I guess subconsciously you're trying to put her, because she was a hero in your life, you're trying to put her in the book? Would you say that?
To be honest, I've always, I don't know if I've managed to ever put my mom in there, in my books. But there's always a part of me that always talks about women in a certain way. Like, I celebrate women because of her. So if you look at my work, you'll get to understand that, okay, this person, oh, why is it like this? Oh, okay. Because she made me understand that it's a struggle to be a woman. It's quite hard to be a woman, especially being a single mother. It's really terrible. And on top of it, you look at all these social issues that come in, and when you look at also how GBV has impacted our society, you actually tell yourself that, okay, what has gone wrong from, why would spouses commit certain offenses to their partners? Imagine these are the two people that came together, decided to form a family, have kids, and contribute to society by having these children that are actually going to be the next generation of the country, and then yet they did not stay too long enough together to raise those kids. The more probably they started up, maybe they played a certain role to model those kids to become, but they didn't stay together to actually see them become. In the end, you see a society today that is very broken. Distorted and broken, because we have a lot of people that are broken, coming from broken homes, people that actually don't have a sense of value because they have not been able to, not been showed on how to actually see themselves best. Because I believe love starts from home. Love starts from home. How do you love somebody else if at all you have not seen it in your own space where you're growing up from? How do you get to embrace others if at all you have not seen it between your parents or in your home? Look at how hard it is for young men to keep their homes, or how hard it is for young women to keep their homes today. Because we have been told that there's a certain perception that society today has created on how they look at family. So that on its own has actually greatly changed how we look at everything. So there is need to revisit our roots, look at where we come from, see how best we can actually be better people. Because, to be honest, where we're going, times have changed, and we're going to very, very, very serious distorted times.
Yeah, but as a society, what do you think we can do, honestly? From the artist side, you're saying you're highlighting these issues in some of your literary works. But as a what can we do as a society?
As a society, I feel there is need for us to just actually get to look back and be honest with ourselves. Who are we? Because I've seen how much we've tried to modernize and move away from our culture and be people that feel we are so advanced and developed and modern because we feel going back and looking back and being the way we used to be, or upholding our values as our roots as well, as Africans, as Zambians, as Bembas, as Lozis, as Kaundis, as Tongas, as all these other things. You feel like maybe we're backward or wayward because we will not be seen as people that are educated and of a certain standard, which is very bad. So what I've always wanted to talk about, actually what I've always talked about in my books, is always the value of family, the value of oneness, the value of embracing each other, loving each other, because it's about our society, it's about us, because it's like we're carrying the mantle of family today. So look at the values that we still have today. They are not so much so deep to the core that they are greatly defined, because we've moved away from what our forefathers actually believed in. Those days we used to have grandparents. Look at the grandparents today. Grandparents today are actually women. They're still young, they're still youths, they're still, because our children are actually having kids while at a tender age. Look at what is causing that. You find that sometimes there is no peace home. That's why these kids are actually searching for all these things in different places, in wrong places, and do certain things because they're trying to actually feel a certain sense, to fill in a certain gap that is in their lives. Look at how much hard it is for young people to just look at themselves as look at themselves as for who they are. We always feel like we don't belong to a certain part of ourselves, but there is need for us to just revisit where we come from, look at who we are, embrace that we are people who we shouldn't forget our roots, because our roots define who we are. The values of tomorrow are actually going to be very defined, because we're going to be very different. Today we're very lucky that we still have bits and pieces of certain values and beliefs and cultural customs and tradition and certain things that we believed in then, which we still know now. So that's why I also think of putting it in my work, so that even those that are coming tomorrow, they should be able to say, oh, so there are these beliefs, oh, there are these customs, oh, there are these cultural values that were there. How about we redefine them today? So there is need to just redefine them, because the time we're going to will be very terrible, because family is being reduced every day. It's being reduced every day.
So, you know, for people who are, how are we getting, because some of the cultural norms or traditions that we used to have, like you rightly said, you know, a lot of people are embracing foreign culture and then forgetting about our own. But who are the people that will carry on that mantle to pass on the knowledge and the information to the next generation?
I feel it's everyone's responsibility. Parents, they need to actually be honest with their children and tell them and teach them the values of family, the values of everything else that they believe that can actually help their children become better citizens tomorrow. They need to inculcate these values, pass on these values. It's like a marathon. It's a generational race we are running. So whatever we know today, we need to pass it on to our children, who are also going to do the same to their children. So if we don't do that, to be honest, if we die with whatever we know today, the problem is that our society will have nothing to stand on, or where to start from, or where to actually begin to touch, because that's where there's something of value could be, you know. So for us artists, for us writers, for us contributors to change, who are trying to enforce and also make sure that we contribute best to our society, so that we get to redefine and visit certain things that we feel could actually be best for our next generation or the future generation. That's why I feel it's best for us to actually try as much as possible to dig about our culture, to dig about our past, to dig about all sorts of things that have never been taught before, to write about them, to sing about them, to paint about them, so that those that are coming tomorrow, we should actually be able to look at these, not as memories, but as values, standards that actually they should stand on.
How have you been able to acquire that? Because you grew up in the modern society, and you're talking about growing up in a ghetto or in a high-density area. But what were, where are your sources, for example, for getting these culture and traditions?
Okay, I think for me, my mother did well, because during the holidays I used to go and visit my grandmother in the village.
In the village.
I remember the times we used to go to the farm, like go to the farm, and then sometimes they would just carry Millenium and cooking oil, and then the rest you will find it there. Sometimes if you want to eat fish, you have to actually go and catch it. So it used to be terrible. Sometimes when we never had firewood, we'd use cow manure, dry cow manure to actually make fire.
Biofuel.
So it is, so it was all these things that I actually saw growing up in, and I was like, okay, this is cool. So I think my village life has been amazing. I can live anywhere, to be honest.
You've been keeping in touch and reconnecting still, or was it just from the past?
It's not from the past. I still go there.
You still go there.
I still go there.
And you still have very strong roots.
Yeah, I still have very strong roots, and I also feel the need to just define my culture. That's why I've started writing about my cultural beliefs and everything, because I feel these things, if we don't preserve them now, we're going to lose them. So we have a lot of elder women and men that are actually have a lot of stories that have not been told yet. So how about we spend more time and learn from them? This is not America. This is not Europe or any other country that takes their old to old people's houses where they keep them for them and stuff like that. Us, we live with our own. So if we live with our own, how about we learn from them? We get to actually find out more how they were growing up, their life. What was the most amazing and interesting things to grow up in their time? So those are the things we need to focus on, so that even our children, when they come, should be able to tell our children proper stories on how our families came to be, how our families became. Because if you look at our family, most of us don't even know who were our forefathers' parents. We only know my grandmother and my grandfather, maybe their parents. But how about those who were there before them? We need to actually dig deep to know where we come from, know our bloodline, and just be rooted in who we are. Like for me, I'm Bunda, but if you were to trace my history properly, I'm not even from Angola. Probably I'm from Senegal, South Sudan. Because that's where these people came from.
Yes.
You see, so there's just a lot that we need to actually dig and find out more.
All right. And Bunda culture, by the way, is very, very rich.
Makishi.
Makishi. They're my favorite.
Yeah, with our tribal cousins, Luvales. So it's cool. It's very good.
So did you? I'll ask you a question. Did you go to Mukanda?
Okay, I'll probably say yes, because when you look at before MC came in. When circumcision came in, actually, I went through the traditional one, so which was okay. It was good. It was a good experience. I enjoyed it. So before the MC came in and everything, we were like, okay, it's one of those things. So there's just need for us to just actually embrace.
And even at the time that you went, because there was a time in our history when we started to try and hide those kind of traditions that had been passed on from generation to generation. As you went there, did you feel that, oh, I'm being punished, or did you feel, oh, this is something that will make me...
To be honest, that was so rich.
A proper...
That was so rich, because, not to say it so much, but what they teach actually is help boys, teach men, young boys, family values, become noble men, become men that are family oriented and who are going to define and value their own. There's just quite a lot they teach, and also just family. It's everything.
Family values. It's very important. I for one, I'm an advocate of preserving our own culture, and people learning from each of the 72 tribes that we have in Zambia.
But how many do we know? How many do we speak? So what I want to say is many people are hiding in other tribes, other languages. And also that has caused a lot of languages and tradition, certain tribes to die out. To be honest, many are still dying out because are not embracing their own. They don't even speak their language.
They don't speak their language.
Of which, by the end of the day, we realize that actually